Welcome to the Love Strategy Podcast. We're your hosts, Angela and
Akila.
For those of you who have been rocking with us, rolling with us, listening to us, thank you. We thank you so much. If this is your first time joining us, sit back, get a cup of tea or whatever your favorite beverage is, and sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. We hope that after this episode, you too will become a part of the Love Strategy Podcast family. So last week we talked about, or our last episode, we talked about hypergamy. That was quite the discussion.
Yes.
Some of our listeners chimed in, and we have a listener who sent us a recorded question, right?
Mm-hmm, correct.
So Akila's going to tell you more about that.
Yep. So we'll get into her recording, but just to give it she just wanted to, we'll hear it, but she wanted to ask my opinion in particular because she's in the same generation as I am, and she just felt that possibly your generation was a little bit more, I guess, hypergamous.
Okay.
Or, just wouldn't
more,
be so...
let me make sure I'm
accepting
following.
of
She
it,
thinks people who are sweet and fine like me, now people in my age category are more accepting and of being hypergamous.
Right.
Whereas in your generation...
May not be.
And
we can get into that once I played her question and we listen to what she asked and I respond.
Okay.
If you feel maybe she's incorrect in that.
Okay.
Or, if you did experience some adversity
well,
with that, then we'll get into it.
You know what? I'm curious as to what and how the younger generation thinks and feels about hypergamy. Again, I'm of the belief and opinion that it doesn't matter if you're old, young, sweet, cute, whatever. That's just the makeup of women. All women want to be hypergamous. That's just my belief. But let's get into it.
My question: you having been, a single, independent, career, educated, boss woman, and then becoming a mother and a wife, how has that impacted or changed your friends? At least in my experience, women tend to have made me feel less than because I don't have certain degrees, or if I prefer to raise my own children and not pay other people to raise them. I had to learn to kind of embrace that, which is a little bit different because I kind of was always raised that way. So I was just curious as to if other women have made you feel like that, like, girl, you gonna stay at home, or, kind of discourage you from putting like your husband first or making cooking dinner a priority. But a lot of my friends that were married were miserably married. They would describe marriage like the hardest thing. And but these were also women that were juggling careers and children and just trying to make that, at that time, Facebook post to make it look like we're perfect. Yeah, so that's my question. Going from an independent career woman to now a married mom and wife, has that changed the relationships with you and your girlfriends or females in your family or anything like that? Have they looked at you differently? You can do it all, but you have to do it at different times. You could be boss, you can be career woman, you could be corporate, you could get degrees, but then you might have to breastfeed, and then you might have to cook them.
So what I got from that was she was really asking, how do my friends and my peers around me think of my role at home or my choosing to be choice of a career at this point, because like she did say, before marriage I was working and I had to pay bills because I was single, That's what you do. So I paid my bills, I took care of myself, and I still can. But I got married and I decided to step back from going so hard in my career and so hard in my, I guess, solidarity in that point to become, a housewife as well as now a mother, and focus on my family and my husband being included as part of that family. So focusing on our marriage. And to her question, I actually have not received too much backlash from my choice to step back in the outside of the career, and that is a personal choice. It depends on how determined you are, how you want, how far you want to go in your career. Of course, I'm still going to pursue what I want to pursue, but right now I'm focusing on my family unit. However, for instance, this podcast, I do have my outlets. I do have things that I still do work outside of this podcast and outside of the home. And that's just a way to, keep an individual, keep something about myself, keep my identity, and make sure I still maintain my individual self, so I don't get lost as a mom and just a wife, because I am Akila, the person, above all that. So, but I haven't really had any backlash. I would say I've had people think I should lean further into it. So for instance, I've had families say, "Oh, I wish I could," or you hear people who actually want this life. "Oh, I wish I could be at home and don't have to work. Oh, I wish I could, just take care of the kids. I would have loved to do that." But that's also people who, were single, who had to be single parents. They were with somebody who their income alone did not handle the whole household, so they did have to go to work. I also received feedback from family that said, "Oh, if that was the case, if I didn't have to work, I'll plan all the dates. I'll do all the stuff at home. I'll do this, I'll do that." So basically saying, always, first of all, to other people, the grass is always greener. Not that my grass is not green and flourishing and plush. I'm just saying they look in and they say, if I was there, this is what I would do. So that's the type of feedback I got, which, not to say I wasn't doing whatever they suggested, but for instance, one family member, "Oh, I would plan all the dates. I would clean the house. I don't care what I have to do if he's doing all that." And I will say, that's cool and everything if that's what you want to do. However, and although we are hypergamous in my household, and I do believe in hypergamy, we do share, responsibilities of the household as well. So it's not like I'm the sole owner of cleaning. I'm the sole owner of doing laundry. I'm the sole owner of taking care of the child. I'm the sole owner of doing everything for her, taking her to doctor's appointments, etc., etc. We share in that. Now I do the bulk of it because I'm mostly at home. I have more time, and my husband is out providing for us, so I do the bulk of it. But I think to also create for us to maintain that balance, and so that one person is not burnt out, because housework, although it's part of the work, it's a lot. It's a lot to do, and it could be a lot, difference between your husband's work and the housewife's work is the fact that he's getting paid for it. So sometimes it could be it's a lot. But that's in our relationship. Not every hypergamous relationship is like that. If you're a housewife, then maybe that's all you do. It's just all housework and all child work. But like I said, I also maintain a career and work outside of being a mom and a wife. So we do share house responsibilities. But yeah, to answer her question, I have not personally, and I'm thankful I haven't. So I haven't lost any friends. If anything, I have friends and family that envy me, and that just speaks to what we said in our last episode. And if you haven't listened to that last episode, please go back. We said that a lot of women actually want this lifestyle and don't realize they never knew it was a word to it, or they just are shamed into feeling like they have to be independent woman, don't need a man, which you don't need a man. You want one, of course, but why not let him be in his role and you be in your role? Yeah, so that just speaks to that, actually.
Absolutely.
I think if anybody speaks against it, they might be a little jealous, honestly, or tainted.
Let me say this. Being hypergamous does not mean that you are a slave. It doesn't mean that you give up who you are. Mm-hmm. We are individuals who come together to form a family.
Exactly.
And let me say to the younger generation, my daughter-in-law and my daughters, I have 2 daughter-in-laws and a daughter. Let me say to them, and the listeners out there who may identify as hypergamous, life is about making choices. You know, let's take, for example, hair. If I want long hair, I can't have short hair, right? Mm-hmm. If I have short hair, I can't have long hair. It's choices. So if I choose to be at home to parent my children rather than someone else parent them, because see, if you're working, the baby has to go to daycare. Somebody's going to be there in the mama role. I chose, that was a personal decision. I have, like Akila, advanced degrees. I can go out and make a 6-figure income if I so choose. But my choice was I wanted to be the one to see my baby take his or her first step. I wanted to be there when my baby is hurt and they're looking up for someone to comfort them. I wanted to be that person. And so the decision that I made was this. Yes, I am an individual. Yes, I have other things that I am interested in that I want to continue to learn about and evolve. But that was the beauty of having a husband. Because what I did was, my husband and I, we made sure that we had a strategy so that either he or I would be there with our children. Mm-hmm. So when he got home in the evening, we would have dinner, we'd have a little family time, and I'd let him chill, relax. Then he would spend his time with the baby or the children. That allowed me to have my time. It's just that our priorities mm-hmm. were family first mm-hmm. and then everything else.
Right.
Because the world will fool you and make you think you can multitask and you can do it all, but you can't. Something's going to give.
Yep.
And usually what that something is the relationship. Everybody's stressed. Everybody, because you're trying to do this, and that, and it's just not possible. If I had a cup here and I tried to put a lot of stones in the cup, and I had more stones than the cup would hold, something's not going to work.
Right.
Okay? Mm-hmm. And so what happens is we get stressed out, fooling ourselves, believing that we can do it all when we can't. And then the relationship starts, a wedge starts to developing, or a wedge develops, and then it gets wider and wider. And then the next thing you know, you can't stand each other. You're not being sweet. You're not being kind. The relationship has gone to pots. Then the kids are affected. So all I'm saying, ladies, is this. Being hypergamous gives you the option to develop what's important to you. For me, my family was number one. That was number one. That was more, my motto is this: no other success compensates for failure at home. I didn't want to be a statistic, a divorced family. I didn't want my children to be the product of divorce. I couldn't fathom the ideal of my children going from house to house if my husband and I were to divorce. So above everything, I said, you know what? Sure, I want a beautiful home. Sure, I would like to make 6 figures. Sure, I would like to travel. But you know what? If all of that would cause me to lose my family, stress my relationship out, it's not worth it. Because see, you can always get those things. You can always get those things. But developing a family, raising your children, you can't get that back.
And there's nothing, as you heard in the recording, there's nothing inferior about that mindset. I don't, you know, people will look at that, I think, as they misconstrue us, because that's a choice that we're choosing to be at home. It's not like someone is making us be there. Now, there are situations where women are, but that's a different story.
Absolutely.
And
there's no shame in their game. If you're forced to work, you know, you have no other option.
Well, no, I mean, if the man is forcing.
Oh, now see, if the man is forcing you, he's got to go.
Yeah.
He's got, you know
right.
what? He's
got
to go.
That's where I think when people see us doing what we do and making that choice, as our listener said, she was seen as inferior because she chose to stay home, but they were also thinking that maybe she was forced to stay home. And like you said, we're not servants. We're not slaves. We're not being forced. This is a choice. This is an active choice to be at home. And there's nothing inferior about caring about your family and putting your family first. And so now there is a difference. So when we speak about hypergamy, do not, because I want to just make this point before I forget, for any women who are out there who are like, oh yes, I want to do this, but you end up with somebody who's making you be at home, making you do certain things that you don't want to do, are abusing you mentally, emotionally, physically, that is not a hypergamous relationship.
It's not. And guess what? You've made a bad choice, okay? From the get-go. You just have, you don't have a keeper.
Right.
You don't have a keeper, because we've got to understand. So we can't have it both ways, okay? We have to understand men and women are different. That's the bottom line. We are different. One is not superior to the other. One is not better than the other. We're just different. Mm-hmm. There's a reason we give birth. There's a reason that baby is in our belly for 9 months and not the man. There's a reason we have boobs that produce milk. There's a reason. Mm-hmm. So you got a problem with that, you need to take it up with the higher one. Okay? But he made us different. Mm-hmm. And so on the one hand, we say we want a man to protect us, maintain us, and just give us the world. But then on the other hand, we're saying, well, but he can't tell me what to do. He can't buy. A man who loves you and wants to give you the world is not going to be a dictator.
Mm-hmm. He's not your, I seen a quote, hypergamous is not meaning you have a master.
Okay, thank you. That's it. Mm-hmm. That's it. Because let me just address your situation and my situation. You choosing to be at home and parent your baby and make your marriage and your family a priority, that's a partnership. Mm-hmm. That's not, the partnership is this. Mm-hmm. If your husband is working, and look, okay, you all think I'm old school. No, y'all don't think it. I tell you, I'm old school. So I'm older, yeah. But even with my husband, it's a partnership. It's not, oh, he goes out and makes the money and he can tell me everything to do. No.
Not at all.
It's a partnership. Mm-hmm. Believe it or not, he does better. He being my husband, he does better when he comes home and knows it's peace at home. It's not hell. He's got good food. He's got a pleasant wife. Men thrive best in that type of environment. And so my thinking is this, okay, he may be working outside the home, making the money, but I'm working inside the home. Mm-hmm. And so it balances out because I'm feeding him, he's going out making the money, and then together we're enjoying life. Mm-hmm. That's a partnership.
It is.
50-50. We're responsible for stuff together.
Insider's tip though, and we're speaking inside. So I want the women who are looking for a hypergamous relationship or are in one, this is for you. Although it is a partnership and your husband goes out and makes the money, make sure you have a nest egg.
and yeah, now there's nothing wrong with that because listen, you gotta have your little fun money. You know, money that you just
money, but also security money. Because we don't want to think negative. We don't want to do that. However, you have to be a realist. Sometimes things don't work out. as you don't want to
Things
be
don't
left.
work out because you don't make them work out. Okay, if you choose wisely, and I'm not saying, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not saying it's easy.
It's not easy.
I'm not saying it's easy, but if you choose a good man and a good woman, it works out because you want it to work out. You're absent death, sudden death, or anything like that.
Right. Which this falls under that too. So
Okay, yeah, and
you gotta take. My point is, you have to take care of yourself as well.
And
Just make
there's
sure you're
nothing wrong with
okay.
that.
If anything were to happen, make sure that things are in place where you have ability to get the bank account. If he has a business on his own, you're able to have access to that account. Because I've seen where that has happened. Someone's husband passed. They weren't the moneymaker. The woman wasn't the moneymaker. The husband was. He passed, but he had accounts that she could not access because he did not allow her to access. So she had to go through courts to get it unlocked.
Those are things that you discuss. If my husband and I, we have several accounts, some of which my name's not on it. That's fine. But guess what? I am on the account as a PLD, payable upon death. Or
Yes,
all
that's
the paperwork has been taken care of. Because again, this is a group. This is a combined, and I have accounts. Some we have jointly, some we don't. But you best believe he knows everything I have, account numbers, how to access it. Because I'm not looking at it as an individual. This is mine, this is his. Yes, I have my little nest egg, so when I'm going to say, you know what, it's not going to affect the family's, the household expenses or put us in a bind. This is my little fund, set aside money. I can do it. I say, okay, I'll tell them I'm going to do X, Y, and Z with my lady friends, okay? And it's not an issue of, well, okay, let's see, we have a budget, we're trying to stick with it. How is that going to affect the budget? I can say, okay, don't worry, boo. I already got that set aside. I got it. I've handled it. So I think that's wise to have, your own
step. And it also it aids, like we were speaking of, still having your own hobbies and your own.
Absolutely.
If you want to do a side job, sell something outside the house, anything, or sell something on Macari or Poshmark.
Yes.
It's just about maintaining your individuality so you don't get lost or stuck as under a wife, just a wife and just a mom. Because above all that, you were you before you got there.
Absolutely.
So
continue that. There's nothing wrong with that. All I'm saying to the younger women is that you have to work around, make your family your priority. Work around that. That's all. So for me, I know my children were younger. I like to work out. So what did I do? That meant I had to get in bed at a decent time so that I can get up early while their dad is home. I can go to the gym and do whatever I need to do. They're being taken care of by another person who loves them as much as I do. And I can still be me. So I'm not saying you're a slave to the house and you can't go out. As a matter of fact, that's going to keep your husband even more in love with you when you develop yourself and you have other interests and you take care of yourself and you continue to grow. That's what life is about. That's what a marriage really is about. Continuing to evolve. Because when you become stagnant and you don't evolve and grow, that's when problems come in. I mean, look at water that just sits. What happens? It's smelly, right? But when the water just flows, it's beautiful, right? And so my message to the younger women is be proud to be hypergamous, but also develop yourself, continue to grow, continue to evolve, continue to make your husband go, whoa, I got a hell of a woman here. She still got it going on. Bam! That's what you want him to say. But ladies, in order for him to say that, you got to keep it right, keep it tight. I kind of got off the subject a little bit. But
I did want to mention, going back to a point, because we did say that you have to still maintain your individuality. Okay. As well as just make sure, you have all your P's and Q's in order inside your partnership. Okay. And I just wanted to give an example for anyone who's curious, an example of a non-partnership and something that when a woman went into something and it was wrong, the guy was wrong for her, and this is not necessarily, I don't want to say she was going into a hypergamous relationship, but I want to say it's probably what the relationship outsiders think we're in and calling us inferior.
Wait. So let me ask you this story or scenario that you're going to share with us. Did the woman make the right choice from the beginning?
No, that's
okay. So so she started off.
She started off wrong. Unfortunately, I mean, the thing about it with relationships, and we all know this, we've all probably been there. I don't know if Mama Angela's been there because she's been married since she was like 12. But
she's right, y'all. It's special math because I'm only 22 now. But anyway.
You've been in a situation where you like someone, and this is why it's important to go in with dating it with an intent, not to date. Absolutely. Don't be a serial dater necessarily, but date with intent, because you can come across somebody that you really, really like, and they're not right for you, and now you have all these emotions tied to this person, and it's hard for you to get out. So I want to mention the show Made on Netflix. That's MAID. If anyone has not seen that, that is a prime example of, everything was butterflies and flowers and rainbows at the beginning, and they do a lot of flashbacks to show, because the majority of the show is showing us where she is now, the predicament that she's in now, which, without giving away too much, she is trying to get away from her baby's father, and trying to
baby daddy mama drama,
unfortunately, and she's trying to establish herself. She was in this relationship, she lost herself. She had a self, she knew who she was, she had these grand ideas, she was a free spirit, but somewhere within this relationship, she lost herself.
And that's another show we're gonna have to do, Akila, because women be talking about they forgot who they are, they lost the look in the mirror, that's who you are. But anyway, we're gonna talk about that.
I wish it was that easy. So we do have to talk about that, because
we are.
It happens slowly. With her, it happened gradually. Before she knew it, she was in this relationship, being emotionally abused, with a child, and she was stuck. And she became depressed. And if anybody knows about the cycle of depression, you have these thoughts which make you more depressed, which give you more thoughts, which make you more depressed. So that's the cycle she was stuck in, and did not realize, that she was being emotionally abused. She was being financially abused, because he made it to where she didn't have to work. And he said to her, and here's the tricky wording, where it changes from a hypergamous partnership to manipulation and financial abuse. He says, you don't have to work. You have to take care of the child. You take care of our family. You take care of the home. I take care of everything. You don't have to go out and work. What do you need to do that for? So the way that he was posing it was making her feel like, you don't have to go out and do these things because I can do it. Your role is here to stay at home. So first of all, that wasn't a partnership agreement. So that's where the trickiness comes in. He's telling her what her role is.
And so, but they should have discussed that prior to marriage.
Well, they weren't even married, so that's another mistake.
Oh, okay. Well, they should have discussed that prior to the
relationship.
What are we going to do? Are we going to raise our babies, or are we going to farm them out, let somebody else raise them? Okay.
Or, am I going to still work? So that conversation was not had, so it turned into, he had all of the resources. He worked. He made sure they only had one car, because he had all the resources. She could not go out and buy her own car. They lived out in the woods, so it's not like she could go catch the bus to go to work or anything like that. So she became isolated in this trailer home in the middle of the woods with a child, doing the Groundhog Day every day. And he would go out and go to work, take the only car that they have, take the only phone that they have. So she was stuck. And then she got fed up and wanted to leave. And so the point is it was after the fact that she had to find herself. She lost who she was, so she had to find herself. She had to start over. She had to start over financially. She had to start over educationally, because she had a plan when they first got together. they had a plan to, looks like, to live off the grid, be this hippie lifestyle, you know, and she was an individual. She had all these plans. She was going to college, but he manipulated her in a way to where she ended up pregnant. Oh, you can't go to school now. You can't go out there. You can't do that. You can't do this. You can't work. You can't do, you know. And next thing you know, she ended up in this cycle where she lost herself, depression, abused. And after 4 years is finally when she had to come out and try to reinvent herself, because she was stuck in this cycle with this man, this abuser. And he was also an alcoholic, so there was that as well. But the point is, ladies, choose wisely.
Choose
starting out
wisely. See,
don't let love be blind.
And don't shack
Blind
up with somebody. See, that was another mistake. You don't just move in with somebody.
You have to know people.
You look.
He regardless of what they showed us on the show, there was evidence that he was an alcohol abuser before.
And I believe that. See,
before
you
went
are
into it that
given
deep.
signs from the beginning. We choose whether or not we choose to pay attention to those signs.
Correct.
Is a different issue. But God wouldn't put us in a situation where He didn't give us signs.
Right. And I so if you were to look at that scenario outside of the, you know, the show of it, the theatrics of it, you know, she's seen signs. If that was a real woman, she would have seen signs of him and his alcohol. At the very least, he may not have been abusive yet to her, but she would have seen the signs of alcohol abuse.
Absolutely.
And then, that's only downhill from there. And you know, you have to choose wisely.
You have to choose wisely. And ladies, you also have to, we have a tendency as ladies to fall victim of this syndrome called not that much. And that's going to be another show. But what I mean by that, not that much, is we see things in the beginning, but we say, well, it wasn't that much. Mm-hmm. Well, see, that much becomes a whole lot when you're together and you're living.
Right.
And so,
you know, another one, not to cut you off, but another one is potential.
Yes.
Oh, love projects.
Yes,
women
absolutely.
Love projects.
That's another. We love projects. That's another thing. But then we complain and bitch because we got so much work to do on this project.
On this person.
Yeah, you're right. That's another conversation. We love projects. Stay away from the projects until after you get married, and y'all gonna have a project on fixing the house.
And potential is not a dream. Okay, potential is not a man saying, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
I want to go to college. Yeah. I want to have a career in this. That's not potential. That's a dream.
That's right. Because
partially a plan.
Is you meet him and he's in college. He's starting, the next semester or whatever.
Exactly. He's in the process of what he's, is going to accomplish. Potential is not someone, and even if he is in college saying, I want to be an engineer, potential is not him making D's and E's.
Absolutely. Talk to him now. See, this is a younger generation.
And saying, I want to be an engineer.
He wants to be an engineer, and he's only taking basketball. A gym class. Okay.
And failing all the actual engineering classes. So don't say, he's going to be an engineer. We're going to make money. No, he's not even applying himself correctly.
Oh, my God.
Don't fall into the potential.
Keep your eyes open, ladies, and continue to listen to the Love Strategy podcast, okay?
So we went to a little diversion, but I just wanted to say, watch that if you want an example of how not to go, to watch Made. But, so yes, we've enjoyed this episode, and I hope we
thoroughly
enjoyed too.
Discussing this. And again, we might have an episode 3, 4, 5 talking about hypergamy, because this is real, y'all. This is real.
Yeah.
We enjoy it. We want to again thank you guys for joining us and listening to this episode. And as always, it has been our pleasure.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Sit and talk.
To talk to you
guys.
And also, I always say, and also, you always.
But it's all good, because we're 100 here. We keep it 100, so it's all good.
Oh, and also, make sure to check us out on at the Love Strategy Podcast on Instagram, and the Love Strategy on Facebook. Also, the Love Strategy Podcast on YouTube.
Absolutely.
Make sure you like our pages.
Comment. Subscribe.
Follow us. All of the things. All the positive call to actions. Do them all. And because we always have something going on, and we want you to be included in this family.
We want you to be a part.
Want
And
you to
if
be
you
a
have a question, or you have an issue, or you have something you're struggling with, that's what we're here for.
Please,
we
yes.
can help you,
Yes.
okay? Because we like helping individuals and couples navigate the relationships in their lives. So until next time, you know how we do it.
Peace.
Deuces.
Thank you for listening to the Love Strategy Podcast.
See ya.